I am testing a hypothesis. Many European cultures have different standards surrounding same-sex affection. I think generations might as well, particularly Generation Z. What country do you live in? What generation are you? How comfortable are you hugging and being affectionate towards your friends? Do you think there are generational differences in how cuddly male friends get with each other? Or is that simply a matter of personal preference? Thank you for the responses. I did not mean to imply it is unusual for male friends to hug or cuddle each other. I anticipated that reaction from some men, especially older ones. What I am really interested in is whether young men are being more physically affectionate with each other because they are having less sex overall, and hugging or cuddling their friends is a way of supplementing human contact. Story 1. American, my friends and I are okay with hugging it out. We are a bit distant, but we are our own tribe. Story 2. United States, millennial, 34. I hug my best friend without awkwardness, and the others I have either never met in person or have not seen in over a decade because we all moved to different parts of the country. However, I am perfectly comfortable hugging people if they are comfortable. Story 3. Very comfortable. It depends on the situation because if I'm at the club and just walk up and give a bear hug, it is not going to go well. However, I recently embraced one of my best friends for a very long hug. He had just achieved something he had been trying to accomplish, and it was a big moment. I wouldn't try this with my older male friends, as they are more like mentors, and I assume they don't see it the same way younger men do. This soft guy era is real. Men are seeking more emotional attachments and are trying to support other men more. In summary, yes with my younger friends for sure, but not really with the older ones. No, it is not gay. Story 4. Guy or female friends, it does not matter. I feel awkward hugging anyone outside of close family. Wife, daughter, nieces, nephews, sister. Story 5. As a millennial in America, hugging friends is the norm. We were just staying in Big Bear for an evening, and the millennials we met in the bar hugged us when we left. Then later that night, we made friends with 4 members of Generation Z in the hot tub, and they all lined up and shook our hands when we left. It was interesting to see the difference between the two generations. Story 6. I am a 21-year-old Israeli, and I hug my friends all the time. Even the more religious and homophobic people here hug their friends. I have never met anyone in real life who actually found it gay. Story 7. I was born and raised in the United States, but I have lived in the United Kingdom for 9 years. I hug my British friends and American friends whenever I visit them or when they come here. I have kissed some of them. You never know what someone is going through or when you will last see them. I do not want any friend to ever feel that I do not care about them. I am not interested in what people think of our relationships. Story 8. Depends on the person. I do not have any issue hugging friends. Some just are not the type, and that is cool too. Story 9. I am in the United States. I hug my male friend every time I see him. Then we usually compliment each other on smelling good because some of us are really into finding new soaps. Story 10. I don't see them every day like I used to. So a hug is normal when I say hi and goodbye these days. Story 11. I am 23 years old and Slavic. We hug a lot and sometimes give each other pecks on the cheek when we are very drunk. Story 12. I am an American, and I regularly hug my male friends. I think it is more common now than it used to be. Story 13. I have no problem hugging my brothers, especially my best friend who I served with and have not seen in about 13 years. Story 14. U.S. millennial population is 33 million. In the South, it is okay, but it really depends. Personally, I do not like being touched or too close to anybody unless it is a female that I want to be close to. I have a few friends who will hug, and I do not mind it. It is nice sometimes to get a good hug from someone. I will tell my friends that I love them sometimes. I went through rehabilitation centers and sober living facilities, attending Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous meetings. This experience really made me comfortable with hugging random people and holding hands during prayer. I have been sober for 1 year and 8 months, so it is still working. Story 15. 41 million Americans hug all the time. Even when meeting new groups, such as at a bachelor party, Hugging is always used as a greeting and definitely when saying goodbye. Story 16. Male 29. From the United Kingdom. Absolutely no problem for me hugging the boys. It is less common than with women, but they practically hug every time they see a blue sky or a passing car. I regularly hug my male friends and they hug me. Not romantic or strange. We also bro hug, dap each other up, or occasionally tackle each other to the ground. Actually, that is not a common thing. That might just be our friend group. It is like a game, because there is nothing funnier than seeing your friend get unexpectedly sideswiped and his beer fly, especially when he is talking to a girl or on the phone with his girlfriend. Classic. Story 17. Even in America, there are people I will give a handshake to and others I might hug, but it is rare. It depends entirely on the friendship, how it was formed, and the dynamics. I will say this, I do not like hugs. They are simply uncomfortable for me. It is not autism. It is just not my preference, and I like personal space. I also do not like people standing behind me. I tolerate it, but it is more a matter of trust. I let my mother hug me and a few friends, but generally, I do not like it. Story 18. I am a 50-year-old Canadian. Neither I nor any of my male friend groups have ever witnessed hugging among male friends. To be honest, I do not even like to hug female friends. Story 19. For me, not at all. I totally won't hug anyone except for significant others or women I find attractive. When it comes to men, it is not about their sexual orientation. Rather, it is the smells and body fluids that come with close contact. There is nothing inherently wrong with that as it is just nature, but it absolutely repulses me. Sweat and body odors give me discomfort, especially men's musky smells. I have the same reaction toward most women. But if it is someone attractive, I absolutely do not mind the intimacy. So maybe the cause is pheromones or something psychological. Story 20. As an American millennial, I hug everyone unless they have previously indicated that they prefer not to be hugged. Story 21. I'll hug my boys like it's the last thing I've ever done. The closest friends I've ever had never made it an issue, and the ones who would make it weird are people I am no longer friends with. Story 22. Canadian. Born in Eastern Europe. Male. 32 years old. I hug my male Canadian friends and they hug me. It is normal and not weird. Story 23. GexX, USA. Absolutely have no problem hugging my male friends. Do so all the time and always have. However, I do not cuddle with friends, male or female. Story 24. United States, I hug male friends. Comfortable hugging and being hugged. I wouldn't hug a brother who isn't into hugging, and it's just a quick brother hug. Not like I am fully pressing up on them. Most of my non-intimate hugs are just side hugs, regardless of how I am hugged. Story 25. Men need support from other men. While my wife supports me emotionally, men experience and process things differently. It is important to receive different perspectives from other men. Story 26. My friends and I have close, affectionate relationships, and some of them are married with children. American, mid-20s. Story 27. Growing up as an Italian, I observed that Italian men kissed each other frequently. I was born in 1970, and I do hug my male friends, but I have received some criticism when this is done in public by strangers. I also kiss my male friends on the cheek to greet them. I live in the United States but used to live in Italy. Older Italians were very openly affectionate with one another. But this is changing somewhat with the more modern generation. Story 28. I am 58 years old, which makes me Generation X. I am more than happy hugging male friends. I do it all the time. I was born and raised in the United States. Story 29. I was going to say, on a scale of 1 to 10 European, but you said it too. I am Greek. Nobody cares. People hug. Story 30. Millennial Canadian of Anglo-Scottish descent. I am quite comfortable hugging my male friends. Of course, I only hug them if they like hugs. On average, French Canadians are more demonstrative than English Canadians. Story 31. I am a 38-year-old American. Not only do I hug my male friends, but sometimes I lift them when I hug them. I gently tap their behinds when I walk by. I call them stud muffins. I compliment their biceps. I tell them I love them and that I miss them. We play on a football team together, and none of us are homosexual. Story 32. I'm not a big hugger, but when guys hug me, I find it weird. Usually, we just do a dap, and that's how we do it. Story 33. Millennial American. It depends on the friend and how long we have known each other. But I am down for a good hug if it has been a while. After that, I just hug it out each time. The more homophobic friends I have, the more I make them hug me anyway, because in the military we just do things like that to mess with each other in any way possible to pass the time. That habit stuck after I left. Story 34. I was raised with no physical touching. Food and taking care were the love languages taught in my family, not hugging or saying, "I love you" to each other. I am an adult now, and I go above and beyond to take care of my friends and family, but I do not know how to hug. I used to fist bump my boyfriend at the beginning of our relationship. Story 35. I'm not a big hug person in general. I save hugs for moments that are a tier above everyday interactions. As for my male friends, of course I will hug them if the occasion is appropriate. Story 36. I do not want to hug my friends. I am a British person living in the United States. It bothers me how often Americans want to hug. They can hug each other. It is not a romantic or sexual gesture. People like to hug, but I do not want to hug them and it feels awkward. Story 37. It's not something I do or ever even think about, so I don't know. It's not about comfort if it's just utterly meaningless. I suppose if some guy wants to hug, I wouldn't care enough about it to feel any type of way. It's no more complicated than a handshake or fist bump. Story 38. European, 40. I have for a long time hugged all my friends. I see it as a sign of closeness and appreciation. I do not think any of us really like the physical act, but we all like each other, and it communicates the things we have a harder time putting into words. We are close. I like and appreciate you. I remember it being a bit more unusual around 20 years ago where I lived. We had a running joke with my university classmates that when the guys, showed up for lectures, we would greet each other with long, lingering hugs. It was partly a typical straight guy gay joke, partly just because we felt it was silly that guys should not or could not do that. Story 39. I am in the United States, Generation Z, I think. I will hug my boys and, on a special occasion, I will give them a kiss on the cheek if the accomplishment is significant enough. Story 40. Canada, mid-40s. I hug my close friends fairly often. We are all immigrants or the children of immigrants, mostly from Italy, Portugal, South America, and Iran. Story 41. United States, I hug my friends if I have not seen them for a long time or if it is a close friend. I do this almost every time I see them. Story 42. I hug and kiss all my friends and family. Some do not like the kisses. They get most of them, mostly on the lips or neck for extra discomfort. Story 43. I am a United States millennial, 32 years old, in the Pacific Northwest. In my experience, it depends on the person and context. If it is someone I am friends with and have not seen in a while, I will go for the hug. I probably would not do it if it were someone I see regularly. I have noticed that men around my age have fewer hang-ups about hugging than older generations. I do not think it is homosexual at all. Story 44. I hug my male friends. I also tell them I love them. I am almost 40, and most of them have been my friends for over 30 years. Edit. From Oklahoma, United States. Story 45. I do not hug my friends regularly. Perhaps on a special occasion after a long time or something unique. But no, we are very untouchy. Thank God. Story 46. I have always been an emotional person. The male friends I have opened up to, I will always hug whenever they want and whenever we want. Men need just as much support as anyone else. The days of suppressing emotions need to be behind us. Story 47. 33 Australians. I hug all my friends. Life is too short to worry about how anyone else might feel about it. Story 48. I always try to hug my male friends. They need to know I love them and I am always there for them. We have had many family members and friends pass away, and I like to let them know they are important to me. Love hurts, but love hard. You never know if today or tomorrow is their last. Story 49. I live in Plymouth, Devon, United Kingdom. I hug all my friends and tell them I love them every time I see them. I have the best friends in existence, to be fair. Story 50. I grew up in India. In my experience, very few people hug others, even within families. Hugging is mostly reserved for romantic intimacy. Story 51. I am not a hugger, but everyone I know hugs, so I give it my best try. It is not that I am uncomfortable. I just feel like I do not need to. Growing up, my family was not very touchy-feely. Story 52, United States of America. To give you some idea, I do not really even want to fist bump my friends when they stick their hands out. So we do not hug. Story 53, friends receive hugs unless a friend does not want hugs. Then the friend receives whatever level of physical affection they are comfortable with. Story 54, all my close male friends, we have been friends for over 25 years, and they know I joke a lot. When we hug, I go all out with a playful gesture. Story 55. I am 21 years old, Generation Z, from the United States. I will give a friend a sort of side hug after not seeing them for a while, but it depends on the friend. Some people are more comfortable with hugs than others. Story 56. Comfortable enough to say, I love you, friend's name. When doing so, let your friends know you care. You never know if it will be the last time you see them. Story 57. East Coast American, 23 years old. I hug my friends all the time. I never hug women unless I am in a relationship with them, mostly because I do not want to come off as weird. Edit. If a woman initiates the hug, I certainly accept it. Story 58. I'm Brazilian and I am 17 years old. My group of friends and I all hug each other. I also like to hug everyone, except for women because I think they might get uncomfortable. However, sometimes I ask if I am friends with them. Story 59. If you are not willing to hug another man because you are worried it is gay or something, you might want to do some soul searching and figure out what you are running from. I hug the brothers and tell them I love them. It does not mean I want to have sex. The only thing that makes you gay is being sexually attracted to men. Monsters hugged each other and kissed each other on the cheeks. They would also murder you if they found out you were gay and are terrible people. Most people consider them masculine, right? Also, I travel and work in construction, which has a stereotypical macho vibe. When we see guys we worked with years before on another job or something, it is a handshake right into a hug. Usually yelling at each other from across the site and waving first like Forrest Gump when he is on the boat and sees Lieutenant Dan. Story 60. The United States Millennial Generation, also known as Generation Y. They also do not struggle to express saying I love them. I think each generation has unique experiences and tendencies. Story 61. I have always been comfortable with it, but we rarely did until we aged a little and lost a few of the brothers along the way. Now we freely hug each other and tell each other we love them. You never get a do-over to say your last goodbyes. I find it odd that people will make huge efforts to come to a funeral, say nice things, and spend time with the departed's shell of a body or cremated remains. If only they had done that when he was still alive, maybe they would have made one more memory together. Hug your friends. Tell them you love them. Make time for that beer. Story 62. I am a 33-year-old living in Canada but Colombian-born. I moved here when I was 6. I am straight and married but have no issues hugging my friends. They are all from different backgrounds, and there are no issues with hugs and arms around the shoulder. We are all very comfortable with our sexuality and understand that this kind of affection is very normal. Because I am from a Latino background, cheek kisses when saying hello or goodbye are also very common, especially with family and close family friends. Occasionally, if the men are having a deep personal conversation, there will be a long hug with a peck on the cheek. We also say love you, man, sometimes. There is a terrible stigma in North America around men showing other men platonic affection, and I think we should work on getting rid of this. Story 63. I will hug anybody. Some friends only hug if it has been a while. Some only when drinking is involved. Some we hug so much that the girls ask if we are gay. Story 64. It depends on who it is and the reason for it. Sometimes a simple mutual head nod, handshake, or fist bump will suffice. However, if the moment is significant enough and they are a close or longtime friend, then sure. Story 65. I do not care if a man needs a hug. It does not bother me. It is not inappropriate to be there for your friends. Originally born in Ireland, I have been living in Canada for the last few years, and I will be entering my 30s next year. Story 66. Hugging guy friends outside of funerals or weddings is just part of my culture. I don't know any straight men who are particularly cuddly with other men. Generation has nothing to do with it. Story 67. Tunisia. It is a very common practice and a sign of good friendship to hug male friends, especially those you have not seen in a while. Story 68. We do the dap-up hug, but it is more like a be safe out there hug and less of a kick my feet up with both arms around their neck hug. Story 69. I live in America, a younger millennial here. Before I joined the military, I never really hugged my male friends. After being deployed and learning to take life at face value, seeing the reality that every day could be the last, I now hug my close male friends when I leave them. Story 70. Comfortable. Most opt for the dap into the back pat, but I fully hug my closest friends about 25% of the time. Story 71. I'm mixed but grew up with mostly black friends, and hugging male friends is part of the culture. It's not a full embrace, buckle to buckle, but more like a handshake followed by a quick hug. It is not considered romantic at all. Story 72. Depends on the person. I have noticed my European and British friends are all huggers, but the guys I know from North America are not very huggy. Story 73. United States of America, young baby boomer, completely comfortable, depends entirely on the individual or group. Bear hugs on greeting and leaving, no cuddling to speak of. However, it is a free country, so it is only considered gay if gay people are doing it. Story 74. It depends on the friend. I have one who gets the one-arm hug because he is a bit homophobic, and I have another who, when we hug, people might think we are gay lovers. He even grabs my backside. We were in the military together, so as long as socks are on, it is not gay. Zennial American. Edit. The sock thing is just a joke we make. We are both straight and happily married. He just lacks personal space, and I accept it. I give back what I receive. Story 75. I am American. It might have been something I was conscious about in my early 20s, but now in my early 30s, I do not think about it. It just seems normal. Story 76. I'm equally uncomfortable hugging other women as I am men. I hug my wife, my parents, and my kids. Nobody else gets a hug initiated by me. If you force it on me, I'll half-heartedly reciprocate to be polite, but deep down I will resent you for forcing it on me. Some of us just aren't huggers or touchers. Don't touch me, I won't touch you. Story 77. I feel like hugs between two male friends happen less often, but when they do, they are much more heartfelt. Story 78. Depends on the relationship, but honestly, outside of my family, I get hugs from the brothers more than any female. Granted, that is also reduced when your female friends are in a relationship. Story 79. I'm completely comfortable. I just have no motivation to do it. I hug women performatively, not because I want to. They hug me. They seem to like being hugged, so I hug them to increase the positivity. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't. Men do not have this quirk, so it does not happen with them. It also does not happen with women who are not huggers. Edit ad. I am in the United States. Generation X. Story 80. I'm a 24-year-old male from Midwestern America, and my friends and I have a great friendship. There are 5 of us who are very close. Whenever there is a UFC event, we all get together to watch it. If there is a big football or basketball game, we do the same. We play golf once or twice a week together. We have always told each other "love you" after a get-together, even if it is just playing golf for 3 hours and then leaving. I would say only 2 of the 4 friends I can talk to about real, raw, emotional life problems. For a long time, it was almost unheard of for us to discuss anything other than surface topics and simply having a good, fun time. About 3 months ago, my best friend in the group and I played golf for 4 hours. Then he came over and watched UFC with me. His wife and my girlfriend stayed at home. We had a boys' night and opened up, talking about many things we never had before. I talked about my addiction. I am 5 months sober now, and how it affected our friendship, how we had a more difficult childhood than most, and how I have dealt with all these emotions while getting sober. He talked to me about the difficulties in his relationship with his wife and honestly shared things I never expected were problems. Needless to say, we are very close compared to what is normal in today's society. Story 81. It's weird, right? When I hug female friends, it's either a side hug or a full two-arm hug. But when I hug my male friends, it's more of a dap. Then we bring it in and pat each other on the back. Either way, both types of hugs show love to the individual. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.